Welcome back to part 4, final part of the mini-series about my rig, about updates to my sim cockpit. This will be rather short, but still I think worth talking about. This is my Thrustmaster T500RS, I think RS it was called back then, shifter. Current model I think is the T500A, if I'm not mistaken. There's not much difference in it, I think. This basically has a sequential mode and an H pattern mode. Both work rather well, not really exceptionally well, but they're good it's a good shifter, let's put it like that, and it's not that expensive. Switching between those two modes was also always a little bit of a hassle. That's why I only use it in H pattern mode, and for sequential cars with sequential gearboxes I use the Derek Spear Sequential Pro, I think it's called. Anyway, the Thrustmaster shifter, although it always worked well, I regularly had problems changing the wrong gears, in the heat of the moment, miss shifts. It's not it doesn't have to be a problem with the design of the shifter. It's just me personally, I didn't come to grips very well all the time with it. I'm used to driving manual pattern gearboxes. Here over in Europe, most people actually drive cars with manual gearboxes. And of course I don't really know how a race H pattern gearbox really feels, and even in road cars they all feel quite different. But you kind of get used to a certain pattern where you almost you find the gears without having to think about it or something. You just a little bit of pressure to the left and forwards first, and you keep applying a little bit of pressure, just pull back a second, and then you just go forward. You don't have to do this, this, and this. You just go forward, and it switches into third, because the tension here, side to side, makes sure that the lever actually gets into the middle row, if you will, and then you push forward. Then you pull back, fourth, and then you apply a little bit of pressure to the right, and forward, fifth, and if you have a sixth gear, a little bit of pressure to the right and backwards. Then there's a reverse gear, but there is different system for that. Sometimes it's over there, sometimes it's there, sometimes you have to push something, sometimes you have to pull something, sometimes you have to push down on the lever. Different systems. Anyway, what I wanted to say was, this is the original plate that is on the shifter. As you can see, it has first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. I've never seen a manual gearbox with 7 gears. I mean, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think a thing like that exists. And reverse gear. So you have actually these gates here, these additional gates, and that's a big problem when you go from, let's say, fourth to fifth, because normally, as I said, you would just apply pressure to the right and go forward. And in this case, if you apply too much pressure, you end up here, or at least get stuck here on this little thing, and then there's already a problem. And in the heat of the moment, you can't really use that. I mean, shifting just has to work. And same thing when you go from fifth to sixth, you can actually get stuck here. Yeah, that's the main problem. And the other problem is the gates are actually too far apart. Normally everything would be a little bit closer, at least from most road cars I know. So while all this works, and when you do it carefully and really shift slowly from one gear to the next, there isn't really a problem. But if you want to shift quickly, yeah, you often get stuck on these things. Yeah. There's a couple of things you can do. There used to be a couple of people on the internet selling actually replacement plates. I couldn't find anyone anymore. I don't think anybody sells them anymore, which is a shame. I would have bought one immediately. Then you can. There's even mods where you can, for example, cut out pieces of a CD and put them under the plate to at least block off 7th. But most of these things, most of the mods I'm talking about here, I got a lot of inspiration from a guy called Yip. His channel's called, I think it's Philip Yip? I'm not sure, Mr. Yip. His channel's called Yip Zone. I will link everything, of course. He's the guy from whom I also got the idea with the quick release system. Thanks a lot for that, for all of that. Good stuff, really. He also used to make plates for the Thrustmaster shifter, I think. Anyway, but he also shows he has a video with the CD mod, and one where he actually puts a piece of rubber in there where you can make a bit of resistance here before you go into reverse. Cool stuff. I ended up just building a little plate, quote unquote, myself. I just cut out little pieces of an aluminium plate I had, and it's not a single plate. I tried that before, but yeah, it didn't end up as I wanted it to be. In the end, I just cut these pieces here. They work just as well. It's absolutely not pretty, but I don't care really. So the whole pattern is much narrower now. Actually, also movement forward and backward is less. Initially, I used a shorter shaft here to have shorter shifts, but that's not the same thing actually. I went back to the original shaft, different gear knob, and this plate here, and the way it is configured now, it's almost perfect for me. I'm really happy with it. The only downside is I don't have a gate for reverse gear now. At least when I'm in a 6-gear car. I don't know how to solve that yet. Maybe I'll put reverse here on the switch or something. It's not that important. When would you really need reverse gear except when you spin? But I'll think about something. Maybe I'll put a gate here or a little thing to open. Actually, I know the Formula 1 and Ferraris in the 70s had this. You had to lift something, I think, to open the gate to be able to shift into reverse. Yeah, but this works great. I also applied a little bit of rubber bands inside there. There's also a video by Yip on YouTube to add a little bit more tension from side to side, and also a bit of dampening actually. Feels great now. Happy. Yeah, that's it for part 4 about the shifter. I'm sure there will be other things soon which I will change on the rig. It's a never-ending story really, but now you are up to date again, and let's go racing. Thanks for watching and see you next time.